Okay. Do you guys need me to share? I have the agenda, but I added one thing to the agenda item, which was approving our meeting dates for next year. Let me
Hmm.
see if I can share my screen. Oh, it's disabled. Okay.
It's
So, our dates next year, of course, is going to be the third Tuesday of each month.
Cynthia, I
Um,
can make you co-host if you want to share.
no, that's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Um, so I think, Lisa, do we have to officially like approve these dates?
Yeah, I would just get them. It's the same schedule, third Tuesday at 7. Um, I would just see if there's any objection to those dates, but those are the same. And then the August is
It's
free.
empty. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I know for one day in June I won't be there, but you guys could proceed without me. Um, so any objections?
I don't know what's going on in my life that far in advance, so um I would assume that pretty much the same for everybody and we can.
Okay, so I'll
No,
post the
sorry, we can all,
the 2024 dates on the group, and we have one Zoom link that we will use for each meeting. So we'll keep it there, and everybody could just reference to that. So I guess we can move on to the next item. Cal, you joined just in time. I know our last meeting, we mentioned that your photo wiki, your photo gallery, we would make that the first topic. Would you like to go ahead?
I need about 2 minutes to set it up, but while I'm doing that, I was gonna say, and we can always, if we decide to change our meeting, as long as we do it a week in advance, we can always change our meeting date if a bunch of us have a conflict. Um, let's see. So you're saying we're gonna use the same Zoom link for every meeting?
Yeah.
Yep, I'll send that out
Thank you.
later.
Yep.
So that's why I was late. I had to fumble around and then I didn't even know you had sent it out to the group until a minute
Yeah.
got on. So
That'll make it easier for everyone. And the other advantage to that too is I can post that link on the ANC website.
And leave
Um,
it there.
yep, and just leave it there so people can join. So we'll just have to do a good job with monitoring, attendees in case we get bombers or things like that. But we've, have been lucky thus far. And then two, the other goal, because remember the reporting out in advance every 7 days in advance sometimes can get tricky depending on what folks in the committee have doing. If we could present the schedule and the access at the beginning of the year, during the meeting on the ANC website, maybe on our Facebook, social media, just do the post at the beginning of the year. Then we meet the notification requirements a year in advance. We're good. We can
Okay.
always repost and say, hey, as a reminder, but we'll do that. And we'll also, put it up on the ANC website under, what do you call it? The what's new section. So it'll be there where the community can see it readily.
And one last thing, Lisa, is this the same link? So if Goslin or somebody else uses it, like say
Yeah,
at eight
they can't
o'clock.
use it. It's this is
Okay.
so you get an individual link. So he could have
Okay.
something at 8 and he'll get his own link.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we won't what happened
Yeah.
last time where hung up. It won't happen
Yeah.
again. Okay, you ready, Cal?
well, is it on the same account? So because that's
It's
the
on the same account, but so she's saying if he has a meeting, it will not be this link. He will have a link for his meeting. It would be two
right,
separate. Yeah.
right. But on a regular pro account, you can only have one meeting running at a time. So if if they have a meeting that overlaps with our scheduled time, you won't be able to get on.
Well, he has his own Zoom account like I do. So
Right.
we
Okay.
all got
So it's not the same account. Okay,
we
got it.
got it. Yeah.
All right. All right. So let's see. Nice. I need to be able to share the screen, and it says host participant disabled sharing. So can you guys put me up here? One of you? Lisa, I'm in a meeting. We were supposed to get together and change that so that seeing a couple of settings. So that didn't happen. All right, here we go. Full RASE group. So here is our home page. Let me put this away. That's not our home page. Huh. That's our home page. This is what people see if they just go to the group. And then we have a bunch of different features. And one of them, we have a calendar, which I don't know how useful that is for us. But we also have a file section where we can put files, and we might have some stuff there already. Yeah, there's a couple of assorted files in there. And we can have folders and files within the folder. So there's a place to put like our meeting notes. If we want to have that there, if there's no other receptacle on the ANC site for us to do that. And we have a photo gallery where we can set up new albums. It's just like any other social media photo thing where you can set up a new album. And it looks like there's been some photos here, 100 and something photos. I have no idea what these are. Huh.
Oh, that's the daughter of Richard Rothstein. If you go up to the left, there was a picture of a woman kind of
Yeah.
from her profile. No, not that. Down.
Yeah. I see her, yeah.
That
right there.
one?
That's Leah Rothstein, the daughter of Richard Rothstein. I don't know who.
So this captures all the photos that's emailed. So it's collected all the photos that's been emailed.
Did anyone emails?
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't automatically do that. I think you have to put them in the gallery. Don't think that's automatic. Well, how did that get there?
It's
what I'm-
emailed photos. So if you email like a website or a screenshot or a photo, it just filters it into that.
Well, maybe I can change that so it's not so automatic. There's 165 of these pictures here.
I think probably those pictures of the Chevy Chase Community Center, I emailed them to the group, and that's how they got there.
Including
Mhm.
this Chevy Chase voice logo.
Oh, no, I think I probably emailed the group the pictures of us together at Chevy Chase Day, but I did not put this Chevy Chase Community Association. Maybe Maurice did the excluded Collenberg. Maurice, did you email that?
We took recent photographs of us at the lounge when we did our meet and greet.
Yeah,
And-
those photos were emailed, so they are put right here.
So I don't know what order these are in. Sort by poster. Posted, that's the date. It should be the date. Okay.
Does it show who posted them?
Probably if you click on one of them, it might.
What?
See.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Carl's event. Yep, that he
Yep.
just held.
So it has your name on it, tells you when it was uploaded.
Interesting.
So we might be able to change that. Oh, so it's emailed photos. So you can look at just the email photos, and we can also set up explicit photo albums, which don't automatically get populated by saying new album. So I think I set it up so any one of us could do this, but I'll check. Now these are internal to us. They're not outward facing.
Oh,
So I don't think that a person who's not in the group, well, if somebody wants to get on the site and look at it who's not logged in, and I am logged in, then you can see what you can see and what you can't. But I'm pretty sure that photos are not shared with the outside world. It's a place for us to collect them. For us.
Well, what is shared with the outside world?
So we can, we have a wiki here, which we can choose to share with the outside world. And in the very beginning, we were setting up when Renee and Maria and I were meeting in that little subgroup to organize, to do the organizational stuff. We posted our minutes here. And you can set up new pages on the wiki, just like Wikipedia. And I see Maurice raise his hand. You want to say something, Maurice?
Well, I get what are we talking about right here? Is this for how we want to organize the information? Because I thought we talked about putting information on either the ANC site or finding if there was a separate website that could host whatever we wanted to host that it would redirect to. Are you proposing that this be what we redirect to?
Well, it depends on whom you want to see the photos. So if they're for our internal use, this would be the place. If they're going to be for the outside world to look at, then this would not be the place.
I thought that's what we were talking about, was trying to, whether or not we wanted to use something other than or link to something that would be publicly available.
I don't know that we got that far in our conversations.
I know that Marilee, the list that she sent of volunteer opportunities and associations to work with, that we intended to post on an outward facing site.
Yep.
Well, that's the ANC side, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I
my
just want to
question,
understand what we're talking about right here. I'm not following what we're trying to accomplish. That's
Yeah.
just what I'm asking.
Oh, what I'm doing is I'm just showing these features here. But at the time when I first said that, I didn't know that the photo gallery was not shareable outside of the group. Other things are, like the wiki, and there's some other in the calendar and some other things we can do, but not the photos. And I'm going to
my
try.
question is,
Yeah, go ahead.
are these still the options that cost? Because if it is, then I think we should probably like steer away from the extra added features. And then I think we kind of circle back on this topic about sharing pictures and outward facing with people
Yeah.
maybe at a later date.
So we're not paying for these features explicitly. We're paying for the premium group, which allows us to directly add members, which otherwise we'd have to just invite them. And also we have subgroups that because I'm imagining that and we talked about this a few months ago, that when we actually dig into the rest of the recommendations and the stuff that the ANC tasked us to do, we're going to take advantage of these subgroups. We're going to divide up, and I don't know whether it won't necessarily be the subgroups we have now, which are community engagement, housing, and we didn't really make these go, but we can set up whatever division of subgroups we want to, and then people can be part of any number of these subgroups. So those are two of the things that are part of the paid account. We didn't explicitly get a paid account because we wanted to do photos. To answer your question.
Okay, so what is the ask for this? What are you asking for us?
I'm not asking, I was just asked to look into this and show it.
Okay,
But I think the wiki is something we could definitely use, because we could make these pages outward facing and talk and give information about us and our activities. And anybody could come and look at it.
I thought we decided at the last meeting that we wanted to have our information on the ANC website because it would be more likely to be viewed or found.
So
we did.
So Lisa, let me take this down. Is the ANC site set up to do a wiki-like thing where we could just add in? Yeah, see, that thing is, we can't do it, and we can't organize it that way into pages the way we want it to. So we could have a link on the ANC website that points to our wiki and say, here's more information about us.
Yeah.
But I think for organizing information that we want to say about us, the wiki is probably a better idea. For photos,
The ANC
not gonna work.
page could, the ANC page would be the location on info about us versus the wiki.
Right.
Well, you could have some basic information about us, but we can't go up and like edit the stuff ourselves. That's what I just saw Lisa shake her head no, and we can't organize it the way a wiki is organized.
Lisa, what can we house on the ANC website?
I mean, it's not really that to me is not the issue because the website is pretty robust. I mean, you can make subpages. I mean, it's a very robust engine. The problem with the ANC site is maintenance.
Yep.
You have to have someone going in there and maintaining it. And it's right now, that's me. And it takes a long time to learn how to just maintain the ANC side of the site. So it's just too much for, one person or two people to be, nobody is going to want to maintain those moving parts. I'll tell you that now. I don't want to do that. It's just, so it's not that, probably the site can't be set up to put, and Cal, I have no idea what you're thinking about. That is probably not an issue in terms of being able to do it. It's it's the management and maintenance part of it that's the issue. And it's just not going to be maintained. It takes us enough to keep the meeting page up and, add the documents and all that stuff. So
yeah, so I would think that really basic information about us could be there. And then if people want to investigate more of our activities, we could have a link to the wiki.
And we have basic information. I mean,
right.
What's up there now is great.
Yep.
And it's actually pretty robust because the recordings get posted up there. If you guys do letters, those get posted up there. So the site setup right now for RACE is fairly robust.
Maurice has his hand up.
Right,
Yeah. And just to add, the RACE community resources page is up also. So that's all up as well.
But if we want to make a change to that page, like add something new, we have to go back to you.
Yep.
Right.
I guess I just want to caution, like, making this too complicated because our job is to inform the ANC, is to provide information to the ANC. I don't know that the ANC has asked us to, create all of these public resources and maintain it and make it available directly to the public. And so I just want to make sure we're not overstepping what we've been asked to do. I know we've been asked to manage communication with the community, but I don't know if that's in the form of managing a website where we're posting updates and pictures and all that other stuff. I don't know if that's just getting a bit too far ahead. Those are just some thoughts that I had.
Well, we did decide to do a resources page. And we also talked about the fact that part of our function is education. So about racism, for example. And so, we're going to have activities and whatnot. And those things are, they're not things that we were specifically asked to do by the ANC.
But we can put those on the ANC page and it's, so I think we'll be covered there.
Well, my suggestion is let's do it for a while and see if the maintenance thing.
Wait. Do what?
Yeah, when you say do it, you're saying you're asking Lisa to do it.
Exactly. Do what?
So I think the only thing we're going to ask you to do, Lisa, is we have a list of resources.
It's already up.
Okay.
Sorry.
The
Okay.
resources are up.
Thank you.
You want me to show y'all that real quick?
No,
Okay.
no, it's 7:26 and I'm sorry, y'all.
we need to go.
I'm already in my
So
PJs.
I'm just saying, let's
It's
leave it the
it's
way it is. And if it turns out
Yeah.
that the maintenance issue, because if we want to update things, becomes a problem for whoever, for you, Lisa, or for us, then we'll reinvestigate it at that time. That's my suggestion.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I think that's what we had previously settled on.
Okay, I do think we're losing the opportunity to do a wiki, but you know, we can always decide to do that later. Okay. All right, I'm done with my item.
Okay, thank you. So next on the agenda was we still have the raise letter to the ANC to support Ivy City. So Lisa, I'm assuming that's gonna be on the agenda in January, maybe? We missed December.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just, to let folks, there is no way we could have gotten it in December with all
Right.
the stuff on the Civic Core going on.
Okay. Yeah.
We should be able to get, and I'm going to start on January 8th agenda pretty early. We have something very exciting for January 8th. I'm so excited.
Okay.
Field Middle School students, history students, are going to be hopefully doing kind of like a mini commission. I
Okay.
think we can definitely get it on January 8th, but just to keep in mind too, we also have just a lot of preliminary business at the first meeting in January. But I think we will be able to, nothing else major is on the agenda, so we should be able to get it, the letter and the resolution for that meeting.
Do you
Okay.
think, will we need to have touched base again with the Ivy City people before we talk again about this?
Always recommend it. Definitely.
All right.
And
I'll follow up again with Sabrina to find out like any status on that moving on their end, because it has gotten more press.
what I would suggest is they attend the meeting, because
Okay.
they're commissioners that are going to be, how our commission is. I mean, they're going to look at it very critically, which is what they should do. And if they have questions, Sabrina and I talked to Sabrina about this over a year ago. Been waiting ever since.
Okay.
I think it's great that we're supporting it, but we also need their support too. Because there could be people in the community that have questions, and I'm not going to be able to answer those questions as well as they can voice, and we're obviously going to present the best case that we can present, but it's always so much more helpful when you have, that community speaking up and kind of saying, hey, this is why, even though you guys are, in 3-4G, we would love your support on this too. So if maybe Sabrina can't do it, there was another young lady that was working with them. There were quite a few, and outside of Empower DC. I think one of them was with Empower DC. But we maybe could get, in absence of Sabrina, one of the activists that had been helping them, for a while.
Okay.
Speak as well.
And I guess I'll check with you to make sure that the agenda for January 8th will still be able to accommodate them.
Yeah.
Because if she attends the meeting and then it never gets brought up, it's kind of too bad.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's similar what Peter Lynch did with the teachers union when he brought that in. So, okay,
Mhm.
good. So we'll plan for January 8th, and then Libby will follow up with Sabrina to ensure she's on the call in case there's questions from the community. So next on the agenda was just our last meeting, we talked about reaching out to Jerry Matlis, I believe, just putting out information about RASE. I had a quick email conversation with him, and we kind of settled on that we haven't had anything else really significant to have him post on the listserv. He did post a little blurb about us, and he said after our event, and I think that was October, he put the picture out on the Instagram. I don't follow that Instagram account. So the next time we have a couple of significant events or happenings, then we can provide that to him. The next item on the agenda is me again, was to provide an update on the resources for the RAISE website. So Lisa, you said you uploaded that? I
Yeah.
couldn't remember if I sent it to you or not.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple items that Mary Lee sent over. Was it today or yesterday?
There was a long list, I think.
Was that today, Marilee?
Those were, yes, today, and they were volunteer opportunities. Did you get that, Lisa? You might not have.
I might have. I hadn't
Yeah.
had not looked
Okay.
at email. But you sent it from Full Race, or did you send it from your personal email?
I sent it to Full Race.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
there was only one, it was just Martha's Table, it was to add for volunteer opportunities on the resource document.
So that's on there. Martha's Table under
Martha's
volunteer.
Table was the only volunteer opportunity that was listed on there.
Yeah. So you're saying you emailed other ones?
Yes, Libby and
Got
I got together, yeah.
Okay.
It's a much longer list, and we also wanted to get away from just sending like food bank and poverty related activities, and do things that provide more direct interaction, perhaps in education opportunities. So there's a mixture of volunteer activities that can involve seniors or education or food bank or kids type stuff.
Great.
So whenever you have an opportunity, Lisa, you can add that.
Okay. I'll
Okay.
add it tonight.
So then the next thing on the agenda is Carl and Maurice. Just following up from our last meeting about the designation letter on the historic Chevy Chase. You guys have an update on that?
And my update is I haven't been in touch with Maurice.
That was gonna be my update too. I've not made progress on that because Carl and I have not spoken. So
Yeah.
we
Okay.
failed.
But I want to take advantage. I was waiting for this moment actually to invite Maurice to be in touch with me after this very meeting to do that. Maurice, do you have a few minutes after this meeting?
I do.
Okay, can we?
It says on the agenda, it says Maurice and Ron, just to be clear. Yeah.
Do I have your?
Oh, Ron. Oh, okay. Well, that was just a carry forward from the last meeting, but in my mind it was Carl. I don't know. Was Ron gonna circle
I
with
think
y'all?
it was Carl. I think Carl
I
and I
think it
did
was
talk
Carl
about it.
too.
Yeah. Okay.
It was me.
I'll be honest, I was waiting for the replay of the last meeting to go back and watch it to make sure I understood exactly what I had agreed to. So, but yes. Carl, I'll just message you my cell if you want to give me a call.
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks. Appreciate it.
And do you guys need us to regroup what that was gonna be, or you just a talk offline?
I think we need to coordinate first before we get back.
Yeah,
to you.
we need to
Okay.
get something together and then circulate it among the group for discussion.
Okay.
Overall though, was it to talk about a race position on the historical preservation initiative in Chevy Chase? And
It's
like
called,
what Race's position is about that?
Yes, there was a nomination for a historic district within our ANC. It doesn't cover the whole ANC, it covers a small part of it. And it's probably going to be contentious. I'm quite sure it'll be contentious.
Carl, just write this down because the chat only lets me chat to specific hosts. It's not a full meeting chat. I guess it's been disabled.
Go ahead.
202-359-5108.
5108.
I
Thanks.
meant to cut you off. This is public.
That's okay.
Okay. All right. So, can we want to move on to the other topic? So the other topic that I had added to the agenda was the communication from Carl that mentioned that we should be able to put on some events similar to the Friendship Alliance. And I just wanted to point out that I agree, but I'm gonna be transparent. I don't really know how to put on those like kind of community events. I'm like a small little event planner, come over my house, have some cheese kind of thing. Not like as grand as the Friendship Alliance. So I just I added that to the agenda to see if we want to spend some time talking about that and how we can collectively do that as a group. I just don't know where to start.
I could tell you what I know about it as
Okay.
a starter, just for more information, if people want to hear.
Sure.
Yeah. So I didn't know about it until the announcement, the notice appeared on the listserv the night before it happened. All right, so I was taken by surprise, but it looked really interesting, and anything that Neil Flanagan is involved in is going to be of interest because he's focusing on our neighborhood. He's a historian and he's also an archivist who has been doing yeoman's work and trying to get modernization of the DC archives, which is important for any group that is interested in the history of the city, right? And he is now writing a book on us, on Friendship Heights, Chevy Chase, from the point of view of the development of the Chevy Chase Land Company and all the issues that the developers, Newlands and his other investors were thinking about in the 1880s and 1890s when they launched it, through probably through 1940. So that's what he's focusing on. And it's true that one of the groups that that's one part of it. Interesting guy speaking. It turned out that at this event, Matt Fruman wasn't able to be there, but since Friendship Heights, like Chevy Chase, overlaps the Maryland line, they were able to get the incoming chair of the Montgomery County Council, Anderson to come and speak at this event, and he was all in for the kind of public information and education efforts that we have from time to time, and certainly I have expressed an interest in. And he made a very good speech in point of fact about his support for this sort of thing. So the interesting thing about this Friendship Alliance is that it's an alliance of significant business people, right?
Mhm.
Up and down Wisconsin Avenue on both sides of the DC Maryland line. So it has some weight to it because there's some serious investors involved. And they have I don't know if she's actually gets paid for this, but they have a person that is the coordinator. I don't know if she's called a president or what of this Friendship Alliance. And so they put on events. And one of the things that they've done is to get Pepco to volunteer their window space just near the entrance to the metro, the southern entrance to the Friendship Heights Metro, the one you go up in the elevator, right? So Pepco has a building there. It's Art Deco building, and it has these 4 very large glass pane windows. And this is the second presentation that has been put in those windows. The first one was done by a group from Jackson Reed, right, that was there for the better part of a year. And this is the second effort. And so this Friendship Alliance is sponsoring this, and they had an event to launch this, and it was kind of like street theater. It was very well done. And they told the story of Broad Branch. So there's a spin-off group from the efforts of Historic Chevy Chase DC in one of our projects called Black Broad Branch, right? So they're their own group now. And members of that group, plus Neil Flanagan, who is now the Hoyrick Fellow at the Hoyrick House downtown, who's writing a book, as I mentioned before, on some of the relevant history, was focusing on Belmont. Now, Belmont is an extraordinarily important piece to our puzzle for the Chevy Chase Land Company because it shows the aggressive white supremacist exclusionary intention of the Chevy Chase Land Company. So, some people think that this was just a question of economics and that Black people were excluded just because they weren't able to afford the requirements that were put into the first deeds on the properties. What the Belmont episode shows is that's not the case. What is the case is that even if you had a Black bourgeoisie like Washington, D.C. did have, and you had investors that were willing to buy the land and do the development, they would still be displaced. They would still be not allowed to build. And that's what Belmont was all about. So in other words, another way of looking at this is the whole regional development that we've come to be used to in Washington, D.C. did not have to be the way it was. Because if Black investors serving a Black clientele were able to build through purchases through the Chevy Chase Land Company, then the white suburbanization pattern that dominated from the 1920s through the 1960s would have been different, right? We wouldn't have had this pattern. So the Belmont part of the story is an incredibly important piece of this puzzle about what white flight was all about, why Black people couldn't buy outside of the district, why they were cooped up, and all the things that we otherwise know from redlining and so forth is what was the point of this exposition, along with the Black Broad Branch displacement. And that's what these panels were about. There were 4, and they're about both of these things. So the thought was simply not to replicate what they've done, but to do our own thing, right? To find some way. And then the question is, where would we put such a thing? And the obvious place to do it, seems to me, is in the windows of CVS. The CVS does this in other places in the city. They have local history. And there's also historical precedent for this in the precursors to CVS as well, when it was People's Drug and so forth. So in a nutshell, that was the idea. It inspired me. So I thought I'd bring it to your attention. I took a picture and I sent it to you.
Okay. Thank you. Libby?
I just wanted to add that Neil Flanagan's discussion of Belmont, the Belmont Syndicate, is just terrific. I attended the webinar, it was a couple of years ago on Zoom, and it's on the web, and that would actually be a good thing for people to learn about in the neighborhood. You're absolutely right, Carl. I think if our group could watch the webinar or anything, that would be good.
Yeah, so the question is, does anybody have any ideas about what sort of thing could go into these windows? And does anybody have any special connection to CVS? Who can we mobilize to help us? I mean, is that something that we could reach out to Chevy Chase Main Street, for instance? Would they be in a position to help us? I mean, they're the local revitalization people.
That would have been my suggestion. Probably the first place to start, Chevy Chase Main Street.
Was also wondering if Jerry Mallets could be helpful.
Yeah, yeah, he has a lot. Yeah, he's tied to them.
Yeah, Jerry was there. Jerry was the only other person from Chevy Chase that was at this event. There were about 50 people that showed up for this. It was a really nice event. We had a beautiful day.
It's amazing.
One of the descendants that was in our joint event that we did last spring, Jocelyn Julian was on hand. It was her ancestor that worked in Mount Vernon. Yeah, so there's a lot to work with there. It's just a question of do we have the energy and do we have the connections in order to, I mean, look, I mean, if friendship, what's wrong with us in Chevy Chase? If Friendship Heights could get behind a biracial, if you want to put it that way, event to explore some of this history, why can't we?
Mm-hmm. Are there any empty storefront windows much more closer to the Civic Core?
Well, Chevy Chase, I mean, CVS is right across the street from the Civic Core.
I don't think so, Libby.
Yeah.
The other thing is, well, I mean, it would be nice if we could build some sort of relationship with businesses anyway, in my humble opinion. But, aside from that, we could always ask the library. I mean, the library is another, they have big windows too.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking, a library, and it's all educational.
Yeah, but what's the foot traffic in front of the library versus, CVS?
I would say CVS is more foot traffic than the library. We go often to the library, but to pick up books, but CVS is always busy. Especially right up and down that corner, walking up and down that corner versus the library. So, okay.
But I mean, those are just the initial ideas. I mean, it could be anybody. I mean, who knows? We won't know until we actually begin asking and developing an idea, a concept, and this is just the very first stab at circulating an idea.
I'm
Good
for it.
stuff.
I don't think
Yeah, good
I'm
stuff.
stop. I don't think I have the bandwidth to build those relationships right now. So.
Yeah, well, I've talked to the new CCMS program director, so I can get back in touch with her and see if we can see if she's interested.
Let's see.
I think I already sent it to her, as a matter of fact. I didn't just send a picture to us, I sent it also to a few other people.
CCMS.
Chevy Chase Main Street.
Oh, okay.
What's her name? Mary Claire?
No,
Somebody?
she's someone else replaced Mary Claire. I can't.
Yeah, Rachel.
Yeah.
What's Rachel's name? Colvin or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. Her first name is Rachel.
Yeah.
Oh.
So if you'd like, I can just get back in touch with Rachel and say that we've talked about it, and if I get some sense that there's wind in my sails to do this, I will tell her that there's an interest, and what can she help us?
Great.
Yes, that's
Great.
so. It's 7:51. We only have 9 minutes left. And the last item we have on our agenda is to go back through our RASE recommendation tracking sheets just to note where we are with the status and then determining what items on the recommendation we can start moving forward with. So my
Sorry,
vote
Corinthia,
to-
so Libby requested a couple more items for the agenda this morning
you did.
about the recent ANC resolution on the survey and the deed restrictions. Just to get brief summarizations on where things are on those things.
Yeah, just a brief summary from Lisa on, I was trying to find the resolution and I don't think it's posted yet on the ANC website, but I thought it would be good for us to all hear as a group what the status is on where the recommendations stand after the survey, the community survey, and then also about the deed restrictions, that the legislation that Matt Fruman put forward.
So when you say recommendations, Libby,
Resolutions, sorry.
okay. So there was several resolutions. So on the one regarding the survey, the ANC passed a resolution I believe the vote count was 7-0, to simply transmit the survey results. So the Commissioner Gosselin took an initial stab at the resolution. In his first draft, he kind of combined an interpretation of survey results. So basically conveying those survey results, and in addition to that, reaffirming the ANC's support for affordable housing at the Civic Core. So the community, if you guys remember, had a lot of pushback on that and wanted just simply a conveyance of their results of the survey. So at the subsequent meeting, that's what we did. That resolution was pared down greatly. It highlighted, the number of people that took the survey, some demographic information, and some high level survey results. And for instance, one of the things that we did, it's unfortunate that 60-40 interpretation is out there, because it really is not 60-40. I think what, one or more commissioners did was looked at the first, in terms of question 9, what's your position on the redevelopment and affordable housing? I believe that was 37%. So I think that got rounded up to 40. And then everything below that, which included people in a category of they wanted redevelopment, but no housing. They did not want any redevelopment. And people that said, I don't have enough information to make a choice. All of those 3 categories got lumped into a 60% number, which just is not, you can't do that. So one of the things we did is we broke that down a lot clearer, that question and a couple other questions, and just simply said, DC government, this is how folks feel. This is what they said. No watering it down. Here's a result. And then the resolution subsequent to that, it was Commissioner Gosselin's reaffirming the ANC support for affordable housing. So that resolution got met with some resistance inside the commission, just across the board. Commissioner Sherman wrote a resolution that countervailed what Commissioner Gosselin wrote. I wrote a resolution that kind of pared down what Commissioner Gosselin wrote, and as well as Commissioner Lynch. So by that next meeting, we had 4 competing resolutions. We did a lot of work to get down to one resolution. It was not a unanimous vote. I believe that vote was
4-2,
4-3.
4-2, 4-2, because there were only 6 commissioners present.
Yeah, okay. So that resolution basically reconveyed the commission's support for affordable housing as we had in the previous resolution, but it also acknowledged the contentious parts of the redevelopment. And that's something that, I think the commission was kind of torn on just how to address that in there. But we ended up leaving in height. We had a concession in for
Green space.
green space and lot coverage, I believe, were the three. We pared down the surplus and disposition, and that was something that I felt pretty strongly about. In the original resolution, we were, I mean, a resolution can say whatever it wants. I mean, if you want to put in a resolution the sky is blue or the sky is orange, you can do that. If people vote 7-0, the question is, do you want to do that? How do you think your document is going to be taken by people that are really trying to make changes in the system? And I know when it comes to these resolutions, I know the city wants our feedback. I've been saying this all the time. They look at them and they really want to see what they can do for the community in these situations. So I have I pay a particular attention to, things that I think just are not realistic. And in terms of the surplus and disposition portion, in that original resolution, we were asking, the city to put something in an RFP that just is not a legal basis to do it. And that's just not a wise idea to do. There's no legal basis for any other way to get land into a, developer, nonprofit, for profit, whatever, land trust. The only mechanism that, we have been told by OAG and DIMPED is surplus. So we did change that and asked the city to come up with some alternatives. And by the end of the day, we took, I think, a couple also from Commissioner Lynch and ended up passing a resolution that, I think people were not 100%, and I'm talking proponents and, opponents. I don't think everybody was, happy with it, because people that really support affordable housing will look at the resolution and say, well, you weakened the position. You can't have maximum affordable housing and only ask for a certain lot coverage, or you can't have maximum affordable housing if you want the height to only be, a certain height. And then the folks that, don't want to see that, obviously they're not going to be happy with it, because we're saying we support it, but here are the conditions that we want you to know that the community supports it in. So that's what we ended up doing. And, that did pass with 4. So those will be sent to the city hopefully tomorrow. We have 2 or 3. Actually, yeah, we have 3 opinions, either in favor or dissenting opinions, that will accompany those resolutions. So that lets you know in and of itself how contentious it is. Most commissioners do not write an opinion behind resolutions, but I know Commissioner Sherman is writing a dissenting opinion. Commissioner Ferguson is writing an opinion, and I thought Commissioner Lynch as well. So we have either 2 to 3. So that is that on that. And on the deed restriction, I can't even remember. That was way before that. I can't even remember the particulars of that. I believe it was just a basic resolution saying we supported the council member's position. Commissioner Gosselin ended up giving personal testimony on that he drafted. And I have not heard anything about the next step and where that is right now. I know they had the hearing. I haven't had a chance to watch the hearing. That would probably be good for all of us to do. I think some folks were interested in what the OAG had to say. And I haven't had a chance to look at his testimony or any of the other testimony that was submitted in that. So that's where we are. The next step is, to transmit those to the city. We specifically asked the city to put the survey comments, and the entire history of our work on this effort appended to the RFP. So we did want that so that whoever the development teams are will have to look and review that information and come up with a design that meets the community preferences, based off of the body of work that the ANC has done, including that survey. Also acknowledging the fact that DMPED's probably, I don't want to say official, but I know DMPED is going to have inserted into that RFP the community preferences that came out of our RFP session. So that's critical. And I do know that, they got if you were there, they got a lot of great feedback. And I know the feedback they got, I believe at that second meeting, was really helpful for them in refining the community preferences. So there were definitely people in the community that came with the right critical thinking hat on and just gave them really good critical thinking feedback. And they were able to make some adjustments to those community preferences, which is a win-win for the community. So that's where we are. We're waiting for, the transmission of those resolutions, which hopefully will be tomorrow. And then the next step is in DMPED's corner to get that RFP issued.
And Lisa, do you know the timeline for that RFP to be issued?
Now, they can't give us that legally.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
they can't do it. Yeah.
I think they gave us a broad overview of dates though.
Yeah, they did. Mhm.
When Michael from, can't remember the name of the group, was
Yeah.
speaking in the 2 meetings at the community center. Link, the head of Link, I think they did give us sort of a rough calendar and,
Well, it'll be out before probably, if they could get it out before the end of December, I'm sure that's what they're going to try to do.
Yeah.
It's not going to go much further. I would say December, January, that RFP will probably hit the street.
Wow. I just wanted to add about the deed restriction stuff that there were like 30 people who gave testimony. Jim Feldman actually gave his testimony in person there. But there were about 30 people and only about 5 spoke out in favor of it, in favor of maintaining the restrictions. One was Robert Gordon, and at the very end, the last person who spoke, because there was about 30 of us, the last person who spoke, I believe, was the lawyer who is, I suppose, suing on behalf of Chevy Chase Voice. So that was interesting. Lisa, you would know this. In general, is there always like Phil Mendelson and Brian Schwab, the Attorney General, spoke about the legislation at the end, and it was very interesting to hear them. Is that always the case?
In terms of government witnesses going last?
No. Is it always the case that you would have the chair of the DC City Council and the Attorney General weighing in on the legislation?
Oh, you could. It's not always the case, but I thought Schwab was a government witness. So in this case,
yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, I think he was a government witness. And then, this hearing, I'm assuming, was it under committee of the whole?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's Mendelson's chair.
And actually, I ended up for a couple seconds being filmed by the TV. Elizabeth Vaden emailed and said that the coverage was done by the Washington Journal, and then
Oh,
channel
okay.
7. And yeah, 3 seconds. It
I didn't see any of that.
was an interesting thing to observe. Not my 3 seconds, but the whole process, because I
Yeah.
never done that before.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you testified.
So before we wrap up, I just wanted to note to the group that last week I attended the Office of the Deputy Mayor for Education. They had a boundary study. They have a boundary study going in place, ongoing right now. So they did a couple of town halls where they just talked with the community about the study and just kind of, they had like some leading questions similar to, it was actually led by Link, the same people who've been doing the Civic Core community engagement pieces. And so one of the pieces that they talked about with the boundary study is that they're trying to update the boundary study with social, economic, and racial equality through it. I think the final result is going to be posted out sometime in February. And I was in the call for like the feeder pattern for over here. And one of the big things was a lot of the complaints was, I believe, like Mount Pleasant, some of those Spanish immersion schools, I think like Bancroft or whatnot. I think the prototype was maybe kind of breaking them up from feeding through here. And so I think they didn't like that piece because of their tight-knit community. So that was it. So that's all I had to add. I know we're almost yeah, I was there selfishly because my son is in DCPS, but then I was like, oh, let me think about this from my RASE hat. My big thing is that I feel like all DCPS schools should be like Ward 3 schools, then we won't have overcrowding at our schools. But that's here nor there. So we're about 9 minutes over, and I just wanted to run through just a couple of, agenda items that's going to be for our next meeting. So we'll get an update from Carl next week if he has an opportunity on the Chevy Chase Main Streets. And then also,
Excuse me, can I add one thing to that? I was trying to get on when Carl was talking about it, but for some reason I couldn't unmute. But I think it'd be a good idea, Carl, to maybe to really do some community outreach for that too. But I would try to help with that.
Great.
thank you, Renee.
Okay.
Okay. So just running back through, we're gonna do the update on the Chevy Chase Main, and then an update on the potential raise letter on the historic district opinion to the ANC. Hopefully we'll have a final closeout for the Ivy City letter at the January 8th meeting. And then next we'll just get back into our recommendations and just following through those, making sure we're able to grab the low-hanging fruit to closing out those recommendations that we can. Anything else? Oh, and I'm gonna post the link for our meetings for all of next year. And I believe at some point Lisa too will get the link and all the dates, maybe at the January meeting, the approval of all the dates, and that will be on the ANC site as well.
Can I just ask Renee to get in touch with me about what we were just discussing before? Renee, you still there? Okay.
You probably can't unmute.
Yeah, she probably hears you.
Okay.
Okay.
Great
Well,
job, Corinthia and Libby. Nice
Thank
seeing
you.
everybody.
good night. See you
Good
guys
night.
later.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone. Happy New Year.
Holidays.
Yeah.
Everybody, happy New Year, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Feel better, Lisa.
Thank you.
Yeah, feel better,
Yeah.
Lisa.
Thank
You too, Cal.
I'll be talking.